My name is Timothy Rodgers. I was in an accident in 2015. I went down a 60-foot embankment and stayed there for 5 hours with a broken pelvis. I broke my ulnar bone. I had to get it replaced. I had nerve damage along my whole left side. I didn't walk again for a year and a half. I stayed in a bed for like a year, and it was 6 months of rehabilitation. My social dynamics changed tremendously. A lot of things that I used to depend on for identity totally changed because I was used to being, able to walk and not an athlete, but just active, going everywhere I wanted to go when I wanted to go there. And those things changed, and that, of course, gave me a mental change. It was a shift, and I didn't know how to take that. I met with Adam Hartnett and Lynette through Poverty Solutions, and I started doing different things because I asked my grandmother, like, what do I do with my life now? I lost my dad in the next year after my accident. My mom was gone in 2007, so, both of my parents are gone now. And I just didn't know where my life was gonna take me then. I met up with Adam and Lynette, like I said, through Poverty Solutions, and I started going to Winter Garden, East Winter Garden Neighborhood Alliance meetings. I became the president there. I went to Winter Garden Community Garden, and I became the vice president there, which I had to let both of those positions go because I didn't feel like I could be depended upon because of my health. I can't be everywhere that I need to be when I need to be there. So I backed out of those positions, but Adam brought me to Circles. And when Adam brought me to my first Circles meeting, just to see how it was, because I had heard about Circles, but it was just hearsay. So when I went to my first meeting, I saw all these people of different walks of life sitting around together, and they were eating a meal, and I was like, they look like they're getting along and they're accepting of each other, but I was like, this can't be real. It looks like it's like a utopia, you know what I mean, of what community could be. And I think we step away from community now. A lot of people do. I think it's a trend with social media and things like that. We're not doing what we do at Circles. I saw these people sitting together and enjoying each other, and I started to wonder what life could be like if that was everywhere. And I started to accept that this was really real. I started going through the Circles program, and it opened me up to a lot of things like social capital and how that works. I started thinking about my life differently. The things that I didn't care so much about, I began to care about because I cared more about myself. And it was a extension because I saw other people caring about themselves and caring about me as well. And it made me care more about myself, about my physical health, about my mental health. I started researching about meditation and breathing techniques and what can I do to better myself, because by bettering myself, I was bettering the community that I was now a part of. I have vegetarians that's in my Circles group. Yeah, and I started considering being a vegetarian, and I never thought about that before because I'm like a born meat eater, you know what I mean? I have people that do meditation in my group, and people that do yoga in my group, and I started thinking about those things and researching those things, and it just began to change the person who I was. As I said before, I was down and depressed, and I didn't know where my life was heading, but getting around other people. And I think it all starts with that meal. When you sit down with that meal, even though these people, you might not walk the same life, or walk the same path, but when you sit down with these people, you realize over time that as human beings, we have more similarities than we have differences. And that's important. It's important to think that because you think someone living in a different wealth class as you have these preconceived ideas of what their life is like. But then you sit down and you find out they love their family. They want the best things for each other. That there are things deep beneath the surface that when we just walk past each other and just brush in day-to-day life, we can't see those things. You know, so we build up these ideas that totally tear us down. I have an IRA now. My finances were terrible, but because I didn't have any balance or structure. See, when you live in poverty, you're living like from check to check, day to day. But then when I get around other people they've built futures for themselves and things of that nature, and they have things structured, then you start thinking about, well, if they can structure, why can't I structure? And since we have all these similarities, like, what makes me so different than them? I'm not so different than them, and I can. And they give me guidance. Support is very important. Knowing that you have support from people that have no reason to care about you is important. You know, you expect support from your family. That's a given. And sometimes I think your family feels like they know you so much that they feel like just by them being family is support. But people that you have not been raised up around supporting you, that's important. As I was going through my physical changes that were still happening, because even though I was out the accident and I'm walking again and everything, there were still deteriorations in with my nerves. So I started noticing, and the one time I noticed, I was sitting at a circus table eating a meal with my friends, and I noticed as I went to pull my utensil to my face that my arm stopped right here, and it's like I had to take my other hand and push it to my mouth. And I'm like, oh, that is terrible, what's going on? And because I cared about my health, I went and saw the doctor about it. I went and saw an orthopedic surgeon, and they told me that I need to talk to a neurosurgeon, which they referred me to. And talking to the neurosurgeon, they told me that my spine, it was thinner than most spines. The channel between there was thinner than most spines, and that if he could, he would give me a procedure that day, operation, spinal fusion. And I'm like, oh man, I didn't know it was that bad. I had saw these changes in me, but I didn't know it was that bad. And because I had the support I did, I was able to go back to my circle's family and talk to them about it and have them understand why I was no longer gonna be having meals with them. Not that I wouldn't sit with them during the meal, but that I would not be eating. I'd take my food home with me. And I got no kickback because of that. Nobody made me feel strange. Everybody came and just put their arms around me, and it made me feel warm inside. And you need that. It helps you to be I think each of us, when we want to build on ourselves, we have an idea of the person that we want to be. And it's easier to become that person when you have the support behind you. These are my allies here. Will you stand up, Brian and Barnett? Thank you. Now, Brian is my spiritual advisor. And I don't have my father anymore, so Barnett is like a dad to me. I mean, these guys, we meet up every week for coffee, or most weeks for coffee. We sit around and we just have conversations, and we never have surface conversations. It's never just sitting there spending time for the sake of spending time. It's real deal, get to the nitty gritty, and sometimes it's heavy, and sometimes it's always inspiring. They are committed to my betterment, and I'm as well committed to them. I think it goes both ways. We care about each other, and we have mutual respect as men. And I love these guys. I mean, and that's not me just talking. In circles, you have a chance, if you take it, to build real community, to build real friendships and real relationships that's not just surface. And that's what the world needs, but we start here at Circles. I thank you all for having me today, and I'm done.